Hello and welcome back to the stained canvas. Today I'm going over how I made my special effects third eye Halloween makeup. Last year I did a fake wound with the gelatin mix that I'm showing you here. I'll just go over really quickly kind of how I made it. You need some gelatin. Mine is expired, so I have no problems using it to make this Halloween makeup because I don't want to waste it. So I have my expired gelatin. I even have like some glycerin here, and I'll have some water. And you want to do equal parts. So I have a tablespoon of each one in this little container here. And you see it's kind of chunky. I want to mix it up and I want it to be smooth. It's going to always look granular until you warm it up. But for now, I just want any of the ginormous bits to be broken down. So I don't want any large pieces in this. So I'm mixing thoroughly. You want to just, press it out, mix it. Don't skimp on this step. This is going to help you later. Like, just keep mixing. Make sure everything is well blended. And then what you're going to do is microwave it for 10 seconds. No more than that. It's going to be really hot when it comes out and very liquidy. It's going to be like water. And so what you're going to do is you want to be very, very careful. See how liquidy this is? And you're going to need a plate. So I have my little plate here. What we're making essentially right now is the eyelid. So we're plopping some in the middle, and we want to kind of smooth out the edges of that. We don't want it to be completely thin in the middle because that's what's going to hold our eyeball in, right? But we want the edges to peter out, to kind of feather out from the center to make like a skin, a gelatin skin, right? So we want to come out from it. We don't need to make it too big. Our eyeball itself is going to be about an inch, and we need this to cover that. So I would make this maybe like 3 inches wide and high if we can. Now we have to let that cool down because when gelatin cools, that's when it gets not sticky and it gets rubbery. And so once that's cooling, we will work on the actual eyeball part. Now this glass piece is called a glass cabochon. And you can get them on Amazon. They come in like packs of 50 or 25 or something like that. I have some because I use them in my art classes with some of my students. But I mean, you can always play with these things. You can make buttons and whatever else with them. So it's not too much of a waste. And they're glass, so they never go bad. So now what you're going to do is you're going to trace your cabochon because you want the paper to be the proper size of it. And you're going to color the eyeball. So you see here I have some alcohol markers and I'm just putting the pupil in. And then my eyes are brown, so I'm going in with 2 different color browns. If you have green eyes, you're going to want 2 different color green, and the same for blue. Because if you look in the mirror and look at the iris, which is the colored part of your eye, it's never a solid color. There's always variations of whatever your eye color is, right? So like if you have blue eyes, you're going to have multiple blue hues inside your iris. So all I do is I make lines. I don't necessarily color, like you just make lines going from the pupil out. And you want to leave some white because your eyeballs have white. So you want to have the white and then the colored and then the pupil. And then you're going to cut it out. Now, if you cut it out and it's a little bit smaller or bigger than your cabochon, there's no problem. It'll be fine. It'll be inside the eyelid part, so hopefully we won't really see too much of around the edges anyways. But yeah, I like my eye. It's working out pretty good. Now you have to glue the paper to the glass. I do this with just a regular glue stick. If you're using Crayola markers, let's say, or a water soluble marker, something that can wash off your hands with water, be very cautious if you use liquid glue because the actual moisture in the liquid glue might mess up your marker, so it'll go all fuzzy on you, which essentially may not be too bad because if you're doing kind of a monster or alien eye, that might actually look really neat anyways, right? So you see here, everything is dry. My glue's dry, my gelatin's cooled off and hardened. So now we need to make the slit to be able to put the eye in. So essentially we're making the crack of the top eyelid and the bottom eyelid. Now we don't want to go all the way across because we want it to look natural. We want this to look like your eyes peeking open. I'll show you what I did here. I'll lift up a little bit and you can see there, it's just a little slit in the center of the gelatin and the eye sits nicely inside there. Now you can make it a little tiny bit bigger if you want to, but we don't want to cut this gelatin completely in half. That's not what we want to do. It'll get really complicated if you're trying to put it together with like too many pieces. But we do need to stick the cabochon inside the eyelid. So to do that, I did it kind of sandwiched. So I had to warm this up. The gelatin's always going to need rewarming, and you just warm it again for another 10 seconds. So I warmed it up and I put a layer down. Then I'm going to put the cabochon ready to go. And this is really sticky right now, so try not to get it on your fingers. And then we put the dried, cooled down gelatin on top of that, and it's all going to stick together once that bottom layer of gelatin cools down enough. So it essentially, you made kind of like a pizza pocket with your gelatin, right? You have your insides and it's all covered pretty decently and all sticking together nicely. Now you want to press it all down and make sure that that's where your eyelids are going to go and that's where you like them. And you're going to let that cool down, because when gelatin cools down, that's when it hardens. That's when it's going to hold everything nice and sturdy. It's another good reason to have like a ceramic plate, because it'll cool faster. Like the plate is cold itself, right? So I'm going to put my spoon and my gelatin aside and just let this cool down. We don't want to really touch it at this point. We'll touch it like once it's cool, it'll be fine. It'll be rubbery. It'll be, you can lift it off the plate. That'll be a-okay to do. Next step here, I did buy some fake eyelashes, but first off, I'm going to go in with the color. So I have a foundation here. It's a very old foundation. It does not match my skin color at the moment. I'm too tan. So if you have a foundation that's closer to your skin tone, that would be probably the way to go. But for this quick video demonstration of how I'm doing this is the foundation I have, and I'm not going to use my good current one, not when I have this one. So I literally just go in with a dollar store makeup sponge and just pat it all over the place. Like, I try not to get the actual eyeball, like the cabochon we don't want to get, right? But the eyelids, you can go ahead. The gelatin that extends and it kind of thins out like a skin, you want to get that as well. I highly recommend trying to mix the foundation in with the gelatin, because I found this part to be a little bit tricky because it still doesn't look skin to me, right? Like it still kind of looks translucent and skin, it like see-through, but like it's the best that I could do. I think if I did this eye project again, I would totally try and mix the foundation inside the gelatin and see how that works. You're seeing me struggle here because I don't wear fake eyelashes at all. These are just dollar store ones. And I have no idea how they actually fit on an eyeball, because I've never applied any to my eye and no one taught me ever. So I don't know what I'm doing here. But I did find that it was not sticky. So I ended up heating up the gelatin again, going in with my X-Acto knife with a little gelatin, like liquid gelatin on it, and then just using the gelatin as glue along the eyelid, the upper eyelid. And then I found I was having so much problems with that. I was like, you know what? My third eye can only have, like, I don't need to put 2 sets of eyelashes. I don't need to put bottom ones. So I just left it as the top ones. You must forgive me, but I was just like, I don't know how to work this. So once I let it dry, I mean, I really do enjoy it. It looks really good. But yeah, I was just like, yeah, I'm not filling with this. I have no patience for eyelashes, just so you know. And so to get it onto my skin, we kind of have to do the sandwich technique again. So you're using the warmed up gelatin. Now, please be very careful and make sure that it's not boiling hot before you put it on your skin. But you're essentially using the gelatin as a glue. So you're going to put some with your spoon on your hand or forehead or wherever you want your third eye to be. I was even contemplating doing it on the inside of my hand, but I was the only person helping myself. If you have a second helper, like a partner helping you, then you could probably do it on the inside of your hand. But to do this one-handed on myself, it was very difficult. I recommend you get a helper if you're doing it anywhere where, where it would be hard to reach, because it gets very sticky and very messy really quickly. So yeah, so this is me trying to get all the sides down. Like you'll notice it flips up and stuff. And then I was like, you know what, forget it. I'm just cutting it off. So I just trimmed all the flappy bits because I can, and it's my Halloween eyeball. It doesn't matter. If you don't like that, then you don't have to do that on your Halloween costume. But I'm just showing you the whole process of how to make the special effects eye, right? You can be way more clean than I am, but I just want you to see, like, if I had a better foundation, I'd get one that actually matches my skin tone, because I have a tan here, even though you can't tell. And so my foundation no longer matches, right? But if you decide you don't want to cut anything, you see here, just take the back of your spoon, apply some of the gelatin as glue, and press it down. And as it cools, like I say, becomes hard and becomes sticky, and it will stick to you. But it's super easy to take off. Like, it is no issue peeling it up. And the best part about this is you can save it, like put it in a Ziploc with any extra. I'll show you that at the end, actually. And so if you have multiple parties to go to this Halloween, you can create the eye and then reuse it a couple of times, kind of deal. It's really a cool process. Like, I don't know, I just love gelatin, and with the glycerin in it and, the liquid with like the water and stuff, it's pretty rubbery. So here's me just trying to even out all my skin tone. And I think it turned out pretty good. I think it would be really cool if you had it on your forehead and you could have like the third eye or whatever. But if I can tilt it sideways, like, it really does come up off of your hand. It looks like an eye protruding from your hand, right? And then, yeah, this is just me peeling it off. Super easy. It's like a Band-Aid hurts more, right? Like, if you have hairy hands, maybe it'll hurt a little bit, but it won't be any worse than a Band-Aid. And then if you see here, peels off. You see the glue that was stuck on my hand, but then you have the one that you made, and there's the eye. And I just saved mine in a Ziploc bag, like a sandwich bag, and I have it in my fridge in my office here. I'm not sure if I'm going to go out for Halloween or do any Halloween parties this year, but if I do, I have my prosthetic eye that I can wear, so I can, be whatever this Halloween. I hope you guys liked it, and yeah, let me know. Bye bye for now.